Or into the microphone. Around the microphone.
I am talking into the microphone.
Okay.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah, let's get wasted.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there is Brandon.
That's me.
Solo. You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with the 90s. You can also find the show every Monday on YouTube at namely90s.com/YouTube. And if you'd like to support the show, head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/namely90s, also with the 90s, and get signed up for one of the support levels. And a big welcome to the Podcast of Horror 3. It's my favorite.
It is his new bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yet again, I'm dressed up in a Halloween costume. I'm clearly Han Solo, Captain Millennium Falcon, the ship that did the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs.
Even though it's a unit of distance and not time or speed.
Watch my prequel movie. It explains everything about that weird bit of information from the original Star Wars.
Yes. Does it also explain where Han Solo gets his murderous tendencies?
Yeah, kind of.
And we're just having a conversation here. Pew, pew, onto the table. Kills that alien dude.
Yeah, he shot first and killed Greedo. Although I think currently he shot at the same time and killed Greedo.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah. Because he's a redeemable.
We don't condone homicide here, but...
But if you were to shoot a green alien speaking a weird language...
Why did you bring color into this?
Because for that exact bit.
Wow. Well, happy Halloween. I like when people say Halloween.
Do you? Do you actually?
Man, you're going to have to moderate my volume. Now I'm too loud again. Dang it.
It's fine. It's done in post. So as long as you're not hitting red lines, you're perfectly fine. Yeah, happy actual Halloween, everyone. It's the 31st. So unlike literally everyone else, we decided to go bold and have an actual Halloween episode on Halloween instead of using the week leading up to Halloween to, generate excitement and stuff like that. Because who does that in marketing? It's not like every other digital creator.
That'd be nonsensical.
Week of
Let's
Halloween
just eat old food and barf. That'll get us more listeners.
Oh, I bought some Halloween candy.
We should talk about true crime.
Yes, true crime. True crime being the fact that there's a Santa Claus series coming to Disney
I was going to
Plus.
say the true crime is that they made this movie, but that's fair. We'll go with the Santa Claus.
That too. And it actually looks like something I want to watch. It's because, the trailer, I don't know if you saw it, but wow.
No, I don't think that I need to see it.
You don't, do you? Yeah, that makes sense.
Wait, so I know they're doing a new Santa Claus movie.
No, it's actually a mini series now.
No, but they're doing a new version
of the Santa.
Doing it as a mini series now.
Yes, that's what I literally just said to you.
But you showed me a trailer for it as makes a while back.
It was supposed to be a movie,
and now they're doing it. Oh my god!
What we inferred, but it makes more sense, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. First 2 episodes landing the day before Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving. Should be interesting.
I mean, it does look interesting. I mean, I think Tim Allen's substantially less coked up now.
That's debatable by the end of this trailer.
White drugs.
I mean, there's a lot of white powder on him in this. They don't show you who the new Santa Claus is. Cal Penn is in it. I assume he's going to take over at one point.
Until he gets appointed to some sort of presidential cabinet and his character has to shoot himself. It's literally how they killed him off in House. He killed himself.
Why did they do that?
Because he got it pointed to Obama's administration.
That doesn't mean that he has to kill himself in the show.
I think it was like a light, like suicide awareness storyline,
which really helped his cabinet of suicide.
Because they were like, no one knew that he was depressed. He never said anything. I think it was kind of a soapbox, but that's just me.
Wow, House using its platform as a soapbox. That's surprising.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, we haven't recorded in like 2 weeks, so
it's been a bit. Been a hot minute.
It's been hard to find time to record this week. I also forgot to start the timer originally, so I think I'm behind.
Yeah, I've been working myself to the bone over here.
The boner over there.
The milk bone? What?
Oh, I said boner, but
I said to the milk bone. I was like, is that a vet joke?
No, I said to the boner over there.
Wow. Classic.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah. Did you drop your Coke?
Yes.
Coca-Cola.
No.
Diet Coke.
Jesus. Wow.
Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, see my Han Solo outfit, and see Andrew in what looks like his Pete Davidson costume.
Yeah, I truly am wearing my slummiest, worst hoodie right now because I just spent the last hour and a half watching this abomination of a movie. And I was tired.
So quick to judge. Oh, yeah. Dude, when you texted, like, let's record, I was like, I was about to fall asleep. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess that's us chit-chatting, maybe?
I don't know. I said you look like a pilgrim at the top of the show.
These are long episodes anyways. Might as well get into it.
That's what she said.
You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to send over my setup for the game. So if you want to get this rolling, I will be right back.
All right.
Can you vamp by yourself for a minute?
Well, I'm just going to start introducing. Well, this year we watched a family favorite classic film, Gremlins 2: The New Batch. For those of you that don't know, Gremlins 2: The New Batch is a 1990 American black comedy horror film and the sequel to the 1984 film Gremlins. It was directed by someone I've never heard of and written by another person who is probably nobody. I don't know if Rick Baker is somehow related to Muppets, but Muppets. And
I threw my headphones back on right as you said the word black comedy. I was like, oh God, where is he going with this one?
Starring household names Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Dick Miller, Jackie Joseph, blah, blah, blah. And John Glover is in this as well, as opposed to other people.
Robert Picardo's in. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Special guest appearance by Tony Randall. Tony Randall.
Different Tony Randall, I think.
And Howie Mandel.
Howie Mandel is Gizmo.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out because I looked up Tony Randall, and for some reason, he seems to have a South African accent in this movie, and I can't understand why.
Tony Randall played a gremlin.
I know. Why does he have like a South African accent?
Well, none of the gremlins had.
He plays the smart gremlin.
Oh, he plays the smart gremlin.
The brain gremlin. Why does he have... I still don't understand why he has that accent. He's an American actor.
Because it sounds smart to be sophisticated and British.
To be South African?
I think he was going for British.
It wasn't British.
It was not, but I think that's what he was going for.
I worked with a South African doctor. That's exactly how she sounds. Brain gremlin. I thought it was Brian Gremlin when I read the first time.
No, that's the brainy gremlin.
No, it's a gremlin named Brian. For sure.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Brian the Gremlin.
So yeah, we watched this. I guess the brief synopsis is that Gizmo, who is the, I guess, leftover one from the first movie, accidentally gets wet in a office building and then spawns a bunch of new gremlins. And
so full disclosure, Andrew's not seen the original Gremlins movie.
I do know the two rules with Gremlins though, which is kind of that's kind of crazy that movie, like people know the rules with Gremlins, even if you've never seen the movie.
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 rules, but
there's 2, there's 3. Well, you never get them wet. You never feed them after midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one.
don't get them wet. Don't feed them after midnight. I mean, those are the two main rules.
Yeah.
What's the third one?
I didn't hear one.
I thought there was three. Treat them with respect.
I don't know. Yeah. So Gremlins.
Oh, don't expose them to sunlight.
Yeah. Well, unless you're trying to kill them, then expose them to a lot of sunlight.
Well, it's the rules of the Mogwai. That's the cute little. That's what Gizmo is before they turn into Gremlins.
I think so cute.
Yeah.
The purring sound is definitely a purring sound directly from a cat, by the way.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Andrew has never seen the original Gremlins, whereas it's one of my favorite horror movies, honestly.
Here's the one thing I want to say about that.
Yeah.
The CG, because some of it was CG.
Yeah. Which they did
in 1990 was horrible. So I can't imagine how it was in 84. Was it all...
It was all puppets.
Oh, all puppets. Okay.
I'm pretty sure there might have been one or two blue screen type things.
The CG was bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it was in this movie. Even the dancing scene where Gizmo dances, it was that's a clear transition from a puppet to you didn't need to show his legs.
Yeah, exactly. And then the legs moving were we can go back to that, but
yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so the original Gremlins was smaller scale. It was darker. It along with the second Indiana Jones movie, Gremlins was the other reason that they made the PG-13 rating. Or at least that's the rumor, because they came out around the same time. It starred Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates. And then I think Dick Miller was the dad. Dick Miller's the dad, right? Yeah. He was in it. But it's a much darker movie. You keep getting these sequels where they're like, let's make a cash grab and make it more friendly for kids, so more kids will watch it and be like, oh, I want that toy.
This didn't seem kid friendly though.
Still, it was more okay compared to the first one. Okay. It was more kid friendly.
Still. But also 90 kids in the 1990 time frame, it was probably pretty appropriate.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's questionable content that doesn't relate to the horror aspect of it. Yeah, but it's just in the original movie, there's and we'll get to this a little bit later, but Phoebe Cates has this dark monologue about how her dad dressed up as Santa Claus and was going down the chimney to surprise her one year, but he never showed up. And then as weeks go by, they start getting this horrible smell coming from the chimney. And then when they finally cleared it out, it was her dad who got stuck. He slipped and broke his neck falling down and fell down the chimney. And it's the
interesting thing there is that there's a historical basis for that.
Right.
In the sense that in listening to True Crime podcasts, it's fairly common, or was fairly common, for people to find the remains of children in their chimneys in old houses, because back before there were actually laws, the chimney sweeps would get stuck in the chimney and die. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't really smell it because,
And the rich people would just think,
but could you imagine? It's yep, this house was definitely haunted. And then you just move out the next day.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's only if you move the remains. If you leave the kid stuck in your chimney forever, you'll be fine.
That's true.
And that's the kind of stuff you would see in the original Gremlins. No,
that's the kind of practical advice you come to this podcast for.
No, it was a darker, it was a better put together movie, and and originally for Gremlins 2, the writer, the director, they wanted, I think it's Chris Columbus, the guy that he wrote. Oh God, who did he? Chris Columbus is probably, other than God damn it, John Hughes is one of the big
But he had nothing to do with this movie.
No, he wrote this one.
Not 2.
Didn't he?
Yes, I thought no, it's based on his, but it's not. He's not involved at all.
So he wrote the first one then. Anyway,
yeah, but the first one's considered to be the good one, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know if I might have mentioned this on a previous episode, but like a lot of film nerds that I follow have recently just out of nowhere been like, Gremlins 2 is so much better than Gremlins 1. And I was like, am I misremembering this movie? No, I wasn't. It's not. It's the first movie is better. It's tighter. The horror elements are better.
Fair.
This is zany. This is like and their reasoning is it's like Gremlins 2 is like a live action cartoon. Why would you want that? Did you like that? Did you enjoy that?
Enjoy which now?
And Gremlins 2 with like the zany live action cartoon kind of feel of the movie.
I'm going to be honest. I mean, I did call the movie an abomination.
Yes.
And I still do believe that to be true.
Mm.
But this movie's hysterical.
Oh my God. Andrew likes this movie.
I was dying. You can ask my wife. She can attest to this. I was dying. Like, just even something as simple as like the boinging sound effects. I mean, I was like dying.
Oh my God.
That one,
Andrew
like
loves
really
this movie.
Dopey one that was like, hoo, 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 when it laughs. You know that one?
Yes, I may not have the most PG term for him in my notes.
All the sounds in this movie made me laugh.
Oh my God, Andrew likes a movie.
I mean, I would never watch it again, but
you laughed.
I laughed quite a lot.
It funny,
and I thought some of the satire was pretty good, like the building.
Mm-hmm.
It was like there was one part where they're like, "We're suffering an illumination failure. Please try not to notice." All the building announcements were pretty classic. I loved all the building announcements.
The little things. There's a lot of clever bits, but I just think overall, like, it gets lost among the...
No, the plot sucks. The background, like, the quiet jokes that, unless you're paying attention, you're not going to notice. Those are the funnier ones. And then a little bit of the slapstick nature of the, like, violence and the sound effects made it kind of funny.
Yeah, it's they definitely went away from the first film, even though it's like a very similar plot. It's just, changed the location. They really scaled back like the human story. But Gremlins 2, the new batch. It was a box office disappointment. But for some reason, film nerds now, horror nerds are like, yeah, that's a better movie. And I don't get it, but apparently Andrew does.
I think, well, you go to the first movie for the actual like story.
Mm-hmm.
The second
movie,
you
come to this movie for Ice Cube singing "Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go."
Yeah, well, no, or just I do think there are some smart jokes that you have to like pay attention to.
I mean, there you can see. I don't know. I'll save my thoughts on this for later. But it's just like I can see the satire. I can see what they're lampooning. But it's also like 30 years removed now, and I don't think it works. But we can table that for a second, and we got to our game.
Okay.
You ready to game?
Mm-hmm.
This one is called 5-star, 1-star, the game. I'm going to read you, Andrew, a review for Gremlins 2, the new batch from Letterboxd. Do you remember Letterboxd? That's the social media movie review website.
The worst thing ever devised, but yes.
Yep. Yeah. But you also got your favorite line, Wocus Pocus, from it.
I did.
And you are going to tell me if it was for a 5-star review or a 1-star review of Gremlins 2.
That's classic.
So this is a 5-star review for Gremlins, the first one, from number one Gizmo fan. Just to kind of give you a primer, I love how little shits anyone gave in the 80s. Also, children should die more in movies. # children should die more. That was a 5-star review for Gremlins. And here is a 1-star review, just to give you the birth. 1-star review from Niranjan. Phoebe Cates lighting up cigarettes for those midgets wasn't the first thing on my mind when I started watching this. And damn, those Gremlins know how to roll. They had more fun in a single night than we could have in an year. 1 star. So that's what you're up against, Andrew. I hope you enjoy our little game. Are you ready? Are you ready for 5 star or 1 star?
Sure.
All right. First one up, we have from John the Wolf from the 9th of September of this year. I love the Gremlins so much. I feel so bad for them. Emoticon, frowny face with 5 closed with 5 parentheses. And yeah, Gizmo is the cutest little baby ever to exist. Is that a 1 star or a 5 star?
Boy, I'm gonna go 5 star.
That's correct. Good job, Andrew. Starting off strong. Second review from Levi Shabak, also from September of 2022. Wow. I think there was like a 35 millimeter release that people watched for some reason. This film feels like a rabid psychopath screamed into a microphone for an hour, and the movie studio decided to take those ramblings and put them to film, no questions asked. It is unhinged and indescribable. I'm going to stop there.
1 star.
That was actually a 5 star.
No, I was rating his review writing. It's a 5 star. No, I got it wrong. Okay. That review is god awful.
All right, you're sitting at 50-50. How do you feel so far?
That's where I usually sit with anything. So.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. This is from Cialis.
Cialis, like the boner medicine.
Spelled differently, but possibly how it's spelled. Wanting to fuck the sexy gremlin does not make me a furry, thread. Is that a 1 star?
I'm going to go 1
star. You're correct.
Hey,
good job. How'd you pull that one out? You would think that they
seem hyper focused on one part of the movie, which makes it seem like they're not a true connoisseur of this movie. Got it. All right, next up.
From Mary Olivian, why do people feel the need to ruin a good thing? ? The vibe of the first one is unmatched. Great cast, great costumes, witty, nostalgic, beautiful cinematography. Not everything needs to be modernized. And can we talk about the product placement? Why do you need to ruin good things? This movie should never have been made until someone was able to do it well and in the same nostalgic filming style. What do you think that is?
Okay. It's got to be a 1 star. And if it's not, I'm going to this person's house and punching him in the face.
Sorry, Andrew. That was a 1/2 star review for Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh, God, that's really fun. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, we're back on course. All right, 1 star, 5 star. Spectre Cinema. And people say superhero movies are the biggest threat to movie theaters. No, it's the Gremlins.
That's 1 star.
That is 1 star? Okay, you're correct. Good job. You are 75% right now. Well done. I don't include the Hocus Pocus 2. Don't worry. Let's see what's next. All right. This one's a tricky one from Josie Posey. They put boobs on a gremlin. Is that a 1 star, 5 star?
5 star. I think she's into that.
You said 5 star?
I did.
Sorry, you're incorrect. That is a 1 star review.
Listen, I think women were underrepresented by the types of gremlins.
Oh yeah, that's fair. All right. Another tricky one for you from Max Gann. I'm gonna have to keep my place here. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Do you need that one again?
5 stars.
That was actually a 5-star review. Well done.
I guess the opposite would be no. All
right,
no.
You're still doing pretty well. You've missed 2 out of what, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. So you're at a 66% right now. Let's see, can you keep going? All right. Review from Lynn. Everyone in this movie accumulates to 4 brain cells, LMFAO, and then in all caps. And why was Hulk Hogan there, LMFAO? Andrew's laughing off camera right now. Was that
5 stars?
Are you sure that wasn't for Hocus Pocus too? You're correct. That was a 5-star review.
I feel like LMFAO implies some amount of joy from the fact that it's so bad.
I guess so. I would have guessed the other way, but that is correct. Well done. Moving on up. Let's see where we go from here. Okay. This one is from George Dune. Or Dunn, Dunne. That one guy turned into a vegetable man. That one guy turned into a vegetable man. Is that a 5-star or 1-star review?
I'm going to go 1 star.
That is actually a 5-star review.
Wow.
So incorrect. Sorry. Andrew, that leaves you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 to 3. So to get a 60%, you need to get this next one right.
All right.
All right. This is from Cedric_Diggory. This is so bad. Definitely bottom 100 movie. It makes the first one look good. Everything looks so bad in this. What is with the lighting in this movie? This movie shows everything wrong with capitalism. Show this to Republican, not plural, show this to Republican, and they admit corporate greed is bad. I guess I keep going. No wonder people think the MCU, DC, Fast 9, Disney remakes are good. We can't have real sets. I assume 40 million of this budget, that 95%, I don't just
it's kind of conflicted.
It is.
5-star.
Well, drum roll. This is actually a 0.5-star review for Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh my god. So funny.
All right. Sorry, I had to do another one.
No, it's classic.
Okay. Actual final one from Michael Margettis. Entertaining because of how electrifyingly awful it is. It's almost amazing to see this many bad choices in a movie. Is that a 1-star or 5-star review?
I want to go 5-star.
Final answer?
Yes.
Sorry.
But I like that review.
Yeah. 1 star. He seems to enjoy it for having such bad things to say.
Yeah.
So that leaves you 50-50. Do you want a tiebreaker?
No.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we don't have time for it. That filled up the set. All right. Thank you for playing 5-star, 1-star. Let us know if you want us to keep doing letterbox review type games that I definitely didn't steal from.
At the end of this episode, we're going to just announce that it was actually an episode about Hocus Pocus 2.
What if we just pivot after the Namely 90s minutes? All right. So before we get into it, let's continue our discussion. How you liked the toony zany fun of it? Apparently,
I did.
So we got to talk about that fourth wall break. which I guess we should save for later, but I feel like we should talk about it right now. The Gremlins invade the movie theater that you're in watching, and then destroy the reels and end up in a different film or something. And they have to get Hulk Hogan to come.
Oh, aren't there two? There's one time too where they're also like there's like a guy doing a review on the Gremlins movie.
Oh yeah, that was Leonard Maltin,
but
famous movie reviewer.
When they did the thing where they like stopped the film, I was like, "Oh no, are we having a Gremlin intermission?" That was my immediate thought.
I'm surprised they didn't use that in the film.
Gremlin intermission.
No, but interestingly enough, in the VHS release for this, instead of having the theater scene with Hulk Hogan threatening the Gremlins, they replace it with so the VHS like blurs out and the like starts scanning, and then it turns into a John Wayne movie where they have a shootout with John Wayne, and that's the fourth wall break for this movie.
What the?
Yeah. Did I not link the right?
You did. I'm watching it right now.
So this is a lesser known version because no one has it on VHS anymore. On our streaming service that we watched it on, they had the Hulk Hogan scene. I think the Hulk Hogan scene's better, even though it's I think more fun to have John Wayne.
All weird. You
can definitely tell that's someone doing a John Wayne impersonation, Pilgrim. But yeah, it's interesting.
Interesting is a word you could use.
But let's talk about all the stars in this film. Like Phoebe Cates is in it. Andrew has no idea who that is, but
not a clue.
She's best known for her role in Fast Times at Ridgemont High as the hot girl that takes off her top in Judge Reinhold's Fantasy.
It's like you're speaking a different language.
Yeah, that's all 80s. That's pre-Andrew's era. So it's the 90s sometimes. But yeah, John Glover, I know him best as Lionel Luthor on Smallville. He played Mr. Clamp, the Donald Trump.
He's a bit of an outrageous actor.
Yes, very zany. Every photo of him has those like wild eyes and hair. Robert Picardo is the Doctor, not from Doctor Who, but from Star Trek Voyager.
Dr. Catheter.
Yes. He's the emergency medical hologram doctor from Star Trek Voyager. He's in the later seasons of Stargate Atlantis and a bunch of other sci-fi stuff. But he played the security chief who ends up fucking that gremlin. Christopher Lee, most famous for, I think.
You're talking about he was a different doctor.
Yes.
Not the doctor in this movie. Got it.
Yes, the doctor in this movie, the geneticist.
That's Dr. Catheter. Yeah.
Oh, that is Dr. Catheter.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I don't remember.
But not that doctor. But not that doctor.
I meant Doctor Who.
I know, but you said not that doctor.
Yes.
But he was a different doctor, but still not the doctor in this movie.
Exactly. No, he was the security chief. Christopher Lee was the geneticist. He, to me, like the best known for, he was Count Dooku in the Star Wars films, but he's like a big character actor. I'm pretty sure he was a Dracula at one point. Christopher Lee was like Dracula in like classic Dracula. Is that right? He was Sauron in Lord of the Rings, right? Yeah, she doesn't know.
Well, he's dead, so
he is definitely dead. Saruman in Lord of the Rings. He was Scaramanga in The Man with the Golden Gun, the James Bond movie. But yeah, he appeared as Count Dracula in 7 Hammer horror films. Blah. Howie Mandel, as we mentioned earlier, voice of Gizmo. The weirdest spot that I had was Gede Watanabe, who plays let's see if I can remember his correct name. I think it's Long Duck Dong in 16 Candles. He's the that's the sexy girlfriend.
So profoundly offensive.
Yeah. But he gets stuck with those roles. Even in this one, that was hella racist.
I have literally the only thing I know him as is a nurse in ER.
Yes. Oh yeah. You know him as a nurse in ER. I'm thankful he got to get away from those offensive Asian stereotype roles.
So they made him. Well, I don't know if he is or not, but in ER he was a gay nurse.
Oh, I do not know if he is gay or not. But I do know.
But again, they just put him in a role to further reinforce the stereotype, which was really nice of them.
Oh, at least it wasn't the Asian stereotype.
Yeah, he finally got a different one. Great.
Yes. Who else? Hulk Hogan is in it, who was popular at the time, but now he's the guy that broke Gawker Media because he sued them into oblivion. And as we mentioned moments ago, Leonard Maltin of Maltin's movie reviews. Leonard, he's like the guy that's not Roger.
I'll take your word for it.
He's
Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert.
Yes.
Leonard
Maltin's Movie Guide.
All right.
Published annually from 1969 to 2014. Yeah.
All right.
Let's,
and now
do it.
And now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week we're looking back at Gremlins 2, The New Batch, because Andrew doesn't like horror movies. Gremlins 2 The New Batch is a 1990 dark comedy horror film and sequel to the 1984 comedy horror film Gremlins. It stars the guy from the first movie, Billy, the girl from Fast Times at Ridgemont High as Kate, Lex Luthor's dad from Smallville as a Trump parody, the emergency medical hologram from Star Trek Voyager as the head of security, Count Dooku from the Star Wars prequels as the lead geneticist, and the host of Deal or No Deal as the voice of Gizmo, the Mogwai. After Gizmo's owner dies, big-time billionaire Daniel Klump buys the shop to knock it down for property development, and Gizmo gets captured by genetic research scientists. Meanwhile, Billy is working at the Clamp Center, a take on Trump Tower, and finds out that they captured Gizmo, and he frees him from their lab and hides him in his desk. Due to janitorial shenanigans, Gizmo gets wet and makes a new batch of Mogwai, who proceed to cause trouble and eat food after midnight. Billy is unable to stop them before they morph into gremlins, so the next day the gremlins are running wild. The gremlins find the genetics lab and start drinking potions and morph into the following gremlins, like there's Smurfin' Smurfs, a gremlin made of electricity, a brainy gremlin, a bat gremlin that gets turned into a gargoyle, a spider gremlin, a flasher gremlin, a horny female gremlin, and a vegetable gremlin. Gizmo gets tortured by the gremlins until he gets his Rambo on and fire arrows Mohawk spider gremlin to save Kate and Billy's redhead boss. Billy cooks up a plan with Mr. Clamp to put the clocks 3 hours ahead and black out the windows, then fry the gremlins when they try to escape. Unfortunately, rain clouds appear from nowhere to stop their plan. While the gremlins are doing a musical number, Billy's dad sprays them with water, and Billy unleashes the electrical gremlin on the gremlins in the lobby and fries them all to death. Finally, after it was all over, the head of security and the female gremlin smash. And that's Gremlins 2, The New Batch, in a Namely 90s Minute. More or less.
And now, back to the show.
30 minutes max. I mean, it's a 90-minute movie. We can't.
Where do you want to go? No,
yeah, where do you want to go?
Let's start with minutes, but
let's start with the GD Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny intro.
Yeah, I mean,
did that confuse you?
Yes. And then I was like, I've been watching this for like 4.5 minutes, and the movie hasn't even started yet. This is going to take forever.
Yet. Yeah. It
was weird.
Daffy takes it. It was a whole cartoon, and then they dovetailed it or bookended it with a little Daffy.
Did they do the WB thing like that? Like the Looney Tunes thing for all movies at that time?
No.
That's weird that they did it for this.
I think
like you said, they were trying to make it more cartoony.
Like they were definitely trying to set your expectations differently from the previous Gremlins movie, because I don't think the previous Gremlins movie would have started like that. And it's like, they started off with shots of New York City versus like, you know, in the first film, it's a small town. He works at a bank. Yeah, it's just the last, like, I had to remind myself the last movie ended with the old Chinese man taking Gizmo away forever.
I was just like, who is this, Mr. Miyagi? What's going on here? Yes, I realize he was Japanese.
Yes,
I do realize this.
And in this movie, the scriptwriters realized that Gere Watanabe was Japanese instead of.
Oh, it's nice they finally figured it out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Long Duk Dong was the Chinese exchange student in 16 Candles.
Yeah, that's very Chinese.
What a difference 4 years makes in Hollywood. The Robert Picardo's character brings in a TV set into the Chinese gift shop, I guess it is.
Yeah, I don't know what that thing was.
It's his shop of mystical artifacts from China. But John Glover's Trump character, Clamp, is trying to knock down the old Chinatown district and make, I don't know, something, the walkway, the space car, apartment buildings, who knows. It probably wouldn't sell. There was a place to sell steaks and have an unaccredited college. Yes, I was making some digs.
Yeah.
The old man dies. Gizmo, the store gets torn down. Gizmo's on the run and gets captured.
Yeah. I knew as soon as I saw the Rambo thing on the TV, I'm like, this is going to come back into play later.
Yeah.
I just knew it. They're very deliberate.
Were you excited about that, to see those, First Blood Part 2?
No,
Rambo?
I just knew that it was going to be somehow relevant later.
Yeah, Gizmo was watching Rambo on TV. And then, then we meet back up with the protagonists of the last film, Billy, and I want to say Kate, Phoebe Cates' character. And he's like, oh, I can't marry you until I get a raise, because they've moved to New York for no reason. Apparently he's an architect now, and or a landscape architect now, and she's a tour guide at the Clamp Tower, which is a state-of-the-art work building in New York. And
I didn't catch that she was a tour guide, and I was trying to figure out why she was dressed like that for like the first half of the movie.
I mean, I couldn't figure out why they were wearing skyscraper hats dressed like they were airline
it was weird.
Attendants. Like, yeah. But yeah, very, very, very dystopian future weirdness going on.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, I was like, so when they found that employee who was like taking an unauthorized break, I thought they were like, they had banned smoking in the building. I'm like, that seems very progressive. But then they were like, no breaks. And I was like, oh, okay, there we go. Wasn't that how it was in 1990 still?
Yeah, everyone was just chain smoking. But no breaks. Yeah, and that was actually like a famous character actor. I don't remember his name though. But he's in like 176 different TV shows. And
they're gonna say he's in 101 Dalmatians.
Possibly. Yeah. We meet sad vampire man who's looks like the Munsters' dad.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. We get into the genetics lab. They dragged poor Christopher Lee into this film.
The thing is, like, with these guys that were supposed to be twins, like, so they cloned them like 38 years ago.
I know, right? I was like, I'm like,
you don't clone someone and then an adult version of them is standing there.
Yeah, with the same exact thought patterns. Yeah.
Well, they have to grow. Okay, whatever. I can't.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
There's this whole thing about like identical twins and their differences, which can be dictated by the environment. And it has to do like with the methylation pattern of their DNA, something called epigenetics. Are you familiar with this?
I'm not. I always just thought it was a nature-nurture argument.
So basically this is like proof of nurture, basically. So basically these DNA strands have like different chemical groups on them. And one of the key components is called methylation. And they took identical twins that were, together for some time and then lived separately.
Mm-hmm.
And then like did some sort of crazy thing where they were able to tag the DNA, but specifically like highlight the methylation patterns. And they were very different between the two, even though they had the same DNA. And they think that may account for some of the differences between identical twins.
Curious.
And it appears to be environmental related. Super interesting. Epigenetics. You should look it up.
Next thing I look into after all the wine crap that I have to study this weekend.
You're listening to Namely DNA on, okay.
Namely DNA on the Namely Network. Gizmo tries to escape after dancing to what originally was supposed to be Dancing with Myself by Billy Idol, but he refused to give them the song. So I forget what they played, but it's some classic rock song.
This little gremlin, they're not gremlins, right? This little mogwai is cured in all hell.
Right?
Yeah.
You could see as a kid why you would want to watch this movie.
Like at first it was lightly creepy, and then I realized that it was cute after the other ones started coming around.
Oh, it's just the cheerleader effect. The other ugly ones made him seem cuter. Yeah. The monkeys are named after the chipmunks. Because Billy gets in there, saves Gizmo, releases some genetic monkeys into the thing, and then they start yelling Alvin and Theodore.
Genetic monkeys. Yeah, I did get it. I actually understood the chipmunks reference.
My God, Andrew's knowing references, loving the movie. What is happening? What is happening? Billy's boss is trying to sleep with him. Makes him take her to dinner after they meet Mr. Clamp.
Yeah. Did she grope him with her foot?
Under the table, yeah.
Okay.
That's how back in the day in movies, and apparently in real life, women would signal that they're interested in you by taking their foot and shoving it all the way into your crotch. It was kind of a
fresh change of pace for a woman to be, doing that to a man instead of the typical vice versa.
Yeah,
like
except
creeping,
she's trying to steal him
predating
from another woman.
Yeah, true.
And also, Phoebe Cates somehow thinks that this redhead woman is an actual threat to her.
Yeah, no, that was kind of my thought too. I was like, I wouldn't worry.
And you don't even know who Phoebe Cates is.
No.
Like something more believable, people.
I knew Phoebe Cates' hair was really bad, but
yeah, well,
it was also 1990.
It was the Rachel pre-Rachel. Gizmo gets wet because Billy had to go to the dinner because he thought he might be able to like his boss was taking him seriously, so they would be able to climb the ladder together or something.
And then the disgruntled janitor is trying to fix the water fountain.
And just sprays water everywhere, which I feel like bad janitorial skills.
Like it turned his like drafting easel into like
a Rube
Goldberg water machine.
Yeah, like I could just hear dun 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 as the water was like trickling down to hit Gizmo.
It's like my in-laws downspout situation from a couple years back.
No, I'd just like to bring up the point. I'd just like to bring up the point that had Billy not rescued Gizmo, none of this would have happened.
True.
And
they were about to just cut him into pieces, which honestly is sad, but would have solved the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And then so Gizmo gets wet. As Andrew mentioned, it's one of the 3 things that you don't do to a Mogwai, because then they instantly have little pustules on their back full of ready to be born new babies.
I know we're going into this soon, so I have to mention it.
Yes. I
laughed out loud when she said, I want to go to this, who said it? The lady.
The redhead woman.
The redhead said, I want to go to this chic new restaurant. It's Canadian.
That was pretty good.
Would she say like they skin the fish at your table?
I missed that one.
I laughed out loud at that joke. And then I appreciated that they kept running with that joke, and they're it was like Gretzky party of 6, eh? And then they're like, you want another Molson?
Yeah, the
like
guy's dressed up as a Mountie,
a huge mounted deer head above their table or whatever that was, and then the chocolate mousse. I laughed out loud at that too. It's literally like a sculpted moose made of chocolate.
Yes. Although I don't think it was I don't think that was chocolate mousse, though.
No, I know. It's like chocolate.
It was just a chocolate
molded
mousse. Yes.
to be a moose. But I appreciated the follow through on that joke. I thought it was well played.
Yeah, they definitely drove it into the ground. I did really like the Mountie outfit as their waiter was wearing.
And we've arrived. That's how I felt about that joke.
Yeah.
Wait for it. Yeah, there we are.
As that's happening, Phoebe Cates' character, I want to say her name's actually Kate, goes and picks up Gizmo, but the new Mogwai have locked him into the air vents, and one that looks kind of similar to him, except has the googly eyes that Andrew laughed at because he makes the noise. She mistakes him for Gizmo and takes him home. And yes, where he starts destroying their kitchen.
Right.
Billy's parents show up as Billy gets home and is like, oh, that's not Gizmo. Let's take him back to the building. For no reason. This is still back in the late 80s, early 90s. So Billy's dad's like, Russian guys driving cabs. That was
not a joke. Not really.
Yay, racism. And even though they didn't take the bus, somehow someone sat on their apple pie.
No, they did take the bus. They took a Greyhound.
They didn't take the bus? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, they took the Greyhound to get there. I thought they flew. Okay, that makes more sense. Anyway, he shoos them out. They have to go stay at a hotel. Well,
to be fair, they did show up early, unannounced, during an active gremlin infestation.
I mean, aside from the active gremlin infestation, would you not just say, here, stay at the house while we go take care of this? Or their walk-up apartment? Yeah. I guess it is a little small, and it is a mess now that fake Gizmo ruined the place. So they go back to the building. Billy gets the bright idea to turn the water off in the building because clearly all the water goes through just one single line in that entire giant building.
I mean, it was a very large line, to be fair.
True. And in a high-tech building like that, no one's going to catch him doing that. He gets caught by a security guard with like a really itchy trigger finger. Right?
I was like, this guy just comes wheeled.
he just walks in waving the gun around and like he's drunk or something.
I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah. And then Kate hides. Billy gets arrested. They show a bunch of mimes being detained.
The mimes. I laughed at the mime thing. That was super funny. I mean, like it's just a throwaway joke, but it's funny.
It is such a throwaway joke. And it wasted the 6 hours until morning because the Gremlins had eaten past midnight, so they were all hibernating in their little eggs. So we get to the next day. He shows up at work for some reason. She goes to work doing tours.
Yeah.
They have the racist tour guide with
the racist tour.
Watanabe.
The tour participant taking pictures of everything.
Yes, the Japanese tourist, the classic Japanese tourist taking pictures of everything. Billy's forced to tell the security guys, hey, the Gremlins, these are the rules, and they just start mocking him until one pops through the security console and kills them.
But again, I think they make a good point, which is if something gets stuck in their teeth and they ingest it, is the eating midnight. The actual time that they're inserting the food into their mouth and chewing, or the time they're swallowing and it's entering their stomach?
And then that's when the thing pops out of your computer and kills you.
And is it in that time zone? I agree with all of these questions.
Yeah, but then they thought that they could get away with being meta about it by killing the person before they can answer it.
That is so meta.
Speaking of mocking things, they had a Julia Child parody.
Yeah, that's pretty
funny. Heavy alcohol use.
Pouring sherry and everything.
Yeah. Speaking of rule questioning, that there's a gremlin that shows up in one of her pots, like a pot of soup. Is that not water? Would he not?
Yeah, like is it pure water or like would broth activate them? They said don't let them get wet.
Right, wet, not soaked in water. Is that a translation
combination
error?
Of like Velveeta and noodles or whatever that was? Disgusting.
Yeah, that did not look great. So one of the gremlins throws a bunch of starts a fire by throwing metal into a microwave. Sprinklers go off. So my question is null as they start propagating again. But this time it's gremlins since they've already eaten past midnight. And yeah, we see John Glover doing a great Trump impression with he did. It was the little things like he was pursing his lips when he wasn't talking. Like
and then there was that scene where he was putting children in cages. No, sorry, that wasn't this.
That's later Trump. That's when Gremlins 3 comes out.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And that dude straight up shreds a gremlin, yo. Kate is in an elevator and the gremlins drop her like 60 stories.
Yeah, how did she live through that?
I don't know, because even with the impact that like squished all the gremlins underneath the elevator,
that's BS.
She should have died.
Yeah, she should have died.
Yeah. We see Leonard Maltin's cameo. They interrupt his show and kill him because he's making fun of a gremlin type movie. And then we finally get back to the genetics lab where Andrew has seen the Key and Peele bit many times.
Actually, I don't think I've seen the full thing. I think I saw it like half of one time, so I'll watch it after this.
Oh, it's so good! And now you get the reference. They back to the genetics lab. The gremlins are drinking whatever they could find to transform themselves into other things. We get a vegetable gremlin. We get brainy gremlin. We get bat gremlin, which also brainy gremlin injects with quote unquote sunblock.
Yeah.
Which will allow him to go out into the bat gremlin to go out into the world. When it did start flying around, I was like, this 100% is turning into a gargoyle. Like I predicted that. Nice. Well done. And as it flew out of the building, it left a Batman symbol in the
surprisingly
wall.
I noticed that too.
Nice. And even with all that bad CG.
Yeah. What was the flasher gremlin?
There was a gremlin that was wearing a trench coat.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
The fire alarm that it was just like, there's a fire in the building.
Yes. And then Phoebe Cates just like punts the flasher gremlin.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there's the fire alarm, but no water. The bat gremlin attacks Billy's parents, and as you said, gets stuck in concrete and turned into an actual gargoyle.
So lame.
There was a Lego gremlin, which is not to say a gremlin made of Legos. It was a gremlin made of Legos.
Like an inanimate object made of Legos to look like a gremlin.
Yes, thank you. And then we get to the skull ram projector scene, which we've already talked about. The woman's yelling that this one's worse than the first one. I agree, lady. You're right on the money on that one. But some people.
I was just so confused when the film started getting weird.
Were you?
What?
I feel like if it's your first time watching it in theaters back in the 90s, you'd be like, did the projector actually rip? Because they still used actual film back then. Theater. Then we get back to the movie. Vampire Fred grabs the Japanese tourist to be his cameraman, and they do reporting from inside the building. We see electricity gremlin. We have Phantom of the Opera gremlin.
Oh my gosh, I died laughing when I saw the flat or the beaker of acid and it said "Do not throw in face," and then he immediately threw it in the face, which then rendered him the Phantom of the Opera. gremlin.
Yes. We got the woman gremlin, which is to say a gremlin with blonde hair and boobs.
Show us the gross half of your face. It's a Family Guy always referenced for Phantom of the Opera.
Yes, the lady gremlin starts kissing security chief Robert Picardo.
The lady gremlin is like especially gross
and horny.
And gross.
And horny. I think it's just because they focus on her for so long, because she gets like the long like dreamy shots, whereas like all the other gremlins are just like.
I found it mildly disturbing.
Mildly? Imagine watching that as a child. Yeah, that definitely hasn't shaped me in any way. Christopher Lee's Dr. Genesis character gets electrocuted by electricity gremlin. That somehow the Mohawk gremlin has a submachine gun.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I don't know where it came from.
No, the doctor had guns. They were going to unlock the guns. There was one already somehow in the locker. That's the thing about the gremlins that annoyed me. They have the same power that the leprechaun has, where they're like somehow able to access and be hiding in locked cabinets.
I mean, that's a part of their folklore, though, right? Gremlins are mischievous. Leprechauns are mischievous.
Honestly, I think some of the noises they made were the same.
Yes. They definitely sounded like Salacious Crumb from Return of the Jedi. That's a deep cut. That's the little rat thing on Jabba the Hutt. He goes, then we get Mohawk transforms into a spider gremlin.
Oh, that was disgusting.
So in the first movie, the leader of the gremlins is Spike, and Mohawk kind of looks like Spike. So you're assuming that he's going to be the leader, but once Brainy Gremlin rolls around, he becomes the leader of the gremlins in this film. But yeah, the spider gremlin was horrifying. Gizmo finally gets free after being tortured, and he hides. He has a like whole training montage, but it's like spaced out across like 4 different set pieces.
Yeah, I think it was less effective as a joke because it was so split up.
I agree. I think that should have been focused more, but it was a good way to kind of break the pacing.
Sure.
I guess.
As if we wanted it to take longer at this point.
Right. Let's see. Mr. Clamp has an end of civilization video.
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I did too. It was like, because, you know, this is pre-cable news, so they didn't have the like, because we all know CNN has a pre-taped, this is the end of the world video now.
Oh, sure.
But that was pre-cable news. And they were going to make their move at 4:20. What was the plan, Andrew? What was the plan to
their plan was to set the clocks ahead when the gremlins were all busy causing mischief, and then cover the outside of the building so any sun wouldn't come in, because the idea was that all the gremlins would come to the lobby when they thought it was nighttime so they could exit the building, because apparently the lobby is the only way they can get out.
Right.
And the idea was that they were going to drop the curtain when they all got in the lobby and kill them all with sunlight.
Yep. That is exactly what the plan was. That might sound familiar if you watched the previous Gremlins movie, because that's kind of what they did now.
And let me guess, it doesn't work. Oh, I'm not guessing because I saw it.
In this movie, it does not. In the previous movie, it did.
No, I'm saying it didn't work in this movie.
Right. So Billy gets knocked out by a hammer. The redhead's stuck in the spider web. They black out the windows. The zany gremlin that originally was taken home by Kate is now a dentist trying to kill Billy.
Oh, that was freaky.
Give you nightmares?
A little bit.
But Kate saves the redhead from the spider web, but then the spider gremlin attacks, and Gizmo finally finishes his training montage. Looking like Rambo. Andrew called it.
He just lights some fool on fire.
Yeah, he sets that whole spider gremlin on fire with
I'm burning this mofo down.
Paperclip bow and arrow.
Yeah, I liked that.
Very Rambo Gizmo. So that was what I loved about this movie as a kid. Like Gizmo as Rambo. That was great. Phoebe. Okay, so this is a joke. I kind of brought it up earlier. Kate gets reunited with Billy, and then she starts to do another "My dad died in a chimney dressed as Santa Claus" monologue when someone says something about Abraham Lincoln, and she starts going into, it was President's Day weekend, we had it off from schools, and then Billy just like, okay, we don't have time for this, and just pushes her off screen. I thought that was pretty good because
I had no idea what the hell that was about.
It goes over your head if you haven't seen the first one, but the first one, like, while I think that's like really dark and like you think it's a joke, but it's not, it does kind of grind the whole movie to a halt for her to do like a beautiful monologue, and it's great. But they obviously had to make fun of that. We get to the lobby. The brainy gremlin does a musical number singing New York, New York.
I hated the shit out of that. I'm just going to say.
Oh, that's the thing you hated about this movie? I
never knew I needed to hear Frank Sinatra's New York, New York from an American doing a bad South African accent. It was not good.
As a gremlin.
Yeah.
And then the lady gremlin, like they do a full musical number, like three different, like they start 3 different musical numbers. And I think they also had they paid off the Phantom of the Opera bit, and there was a lot going on there. But then some fast moving clouds roll in, and it starts raining outside. So sunlight's not going to kill those gremlins.
No, too bad. Whatever are they going to do?
Well, apparently Billy trapped the electrical gremlin in a voicemail earlier in the movie.
Yeah, it was on hold.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, okay. The electric gremlin was stuck on hold
in Mr. Clamp's office.
Yeah,
because he protected him by holding a phone up. That's how electricity works.
It is. Well, back then they were all on copper lines, so I suppose.
Fair. And so Billy gets his dad to spray. Billy's dad's made in at this point, and is told to spray them all with water. Which you're like,
what are you, crazy?
Why would you do that? That'll make him propagate again. But no. He unleashes the electricity gremlin, which fries them all to death.
Like to the point of melting.
My God, like I did not remember.
That part was a little dark.
That was,
The rest of it wasn't that dark, but
you could see the skeletons of the gremlins, which I don't recall them having last time. Oof. Ugh. They melt into the ground. There is one that like pretends to be the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm melting.
Yeah, I didn't care for that.
Of course you didn't. And then Mr. Clamp comes in with some like security guard police officers or whatever.
And slips in the goo and falls, which is funny.
And one of his guys double taps one of them.
I know. I was like, oh,
damn.
He's moving.
Yeah. So they beat the gremlins, and Mr. Clamp's fine because they're insured for all the damages, and apparently wants to sell the design of Billy's hometown in New Jersey. And
okay, sure.
Yeah.
All of this felt super unnecessary.
And then the lady gremlin is going to marry Forrester, Robert Picardo's character, the security chief. And then he's like, all right, I'm DTF.
The whole gremlin getting married thing was really, really dumb.
And
I did not like that.
The look on his face when he was like, yeah, I guess I could take some time. I'm waiting up here.
No. That was a completely unnecessary scene. I'm sorry. I mean, most of them were unnecessary in this movie, but to be fair, I mean, that was particularly unnecessary.
Okay. Well, I guess since you have the surprise review, I will go with mine first.
Okay.
That was fucking awful. It tries to be meta about being a cash grab, but it fails, in my opinion, it fails to avoid the pitfalls of the very thing it's lampooning. Just because you're meta about your shortcomings doesn't mean you're absolved from them. There's so many good actors in this film. The puppetry is still on point. It's not as good as the first film. It's not as scary as the first film. It's not as dark as the first film, but they took a cool concept and they bastardized it because the original was so good, and a standalone. Phoebe Cates is underutilized. I remember being a little bit more positive when I was writing this, so I don't know why this is all negative. I enjoyed it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as the first one.
Okay. It's not a good movie. I think the only thing that attempts to and slightly brings it back is some of the smart satirical humor. Mm-hmm. Most of it's, and none of it's related to the storyline. It's just kind of background stuff. I wouldn't spend an hour and, I wouldn't spend 106 minutes watching this.
Right.
It's not worth it.
I thought it was only 96, but yeah.
It was an hour and 46 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something to watch this Halloween, probably not this one. You probably watch Wocus Pocus 2 or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Any other final thoughts?
I'm probably still not going to see the first one.
Unless we somehow become namely 80s, I don't think I could find a way to force you to see it.
That is true.
Yeah. If you had to choose between the two, I would choose the first one, unless you have little ones, and this one would be slightly better.
But still horrible.
Still horrible. Find it's edited for TV version, please. I guess that's it for this week's edition, a special Podcast of Horror 3 edition of Namely 90s. That's Andrew's joke. I'm sorry. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Namely90s with 90s, or find our personal Twitter accounts at bshwitty and at NamelyAndrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. Oh, hey, I might be doing a charity stream this Saturday on Twitch with some of the other people at G4's Discord, raising money for, I think, against cancer. Who knows?
Better than raising money for cancer, I'll tell you that.
Exactly. So check that out. I think I'll be using my personal Twitch, twitch.tv/bshwitty. Check out our Instagram for more information on that.
Would it be insensitive if you were doing a Twitch stream for people with seizures? Moving on.
Maybe Andrew will co-host with me. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/namely90s. Also with that is 90s. Finally, you can also contact us through our website, namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Electricity Gremlin, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew. And we'll catch you next time.
Baseball Gremlin.